Sutekh, the Destroyer.
Hello there, and welcome to another Doctor Who Big Finish video. In today's Doctor Who Big Finish video, we'll be looking at this, the 4th Doctor Adventures Series 7 Part 2. Yes, the second series, the concluding half of the 4th Doctor run for 2018. And obviously we've got the 4th Doctor in the Diary of River Song. And there'll be quite a few more 4th Doctor videos on the channel because there are a few 4th Doctor releases. I've got to review Part 1 of Series 7. We've got the Energy of the Daleks vinyl, which I will be reviewing. That'll be an upcoming video. And if you want to see more exclusive bits, some videos what are upcoming on the channel, follow me on Twitter because that's where I sort of say, hey, this is the next video. So if you want to get a few more exclusives on the channel and see what things I've been buying, then follow me on Twitter. There's a cheeky plug. So yeah, Series 7 has had quite a few drawing factors. I mean, each box set for me personally has had a sort of a drawing factor. You know, Part 1 had the Vok robots and the Cromarsh experiment interested me, whereas Series 7 Part 2 had Sutekh, because we see the 4th Doctor fight Sutekh, well, encounter Sutekh again. So yeah, we have the Shadow of London by Justin Richards, so we'll be seeing if Justin Richards is still nailing it, because honestly I think Justin Richards is just absolutely nailing it. We've got Dan Starkey's first solo forecast story, what he wrote in the form of The Bad Penny. And then we have the Sutekh two-parter, you know, Kill the Doctor and The Age of Sutekh by Guy Adams. So without further ado, let's look how this series, well, box set is presented. Then we'll go into my thoughts on those. So taking a look at the box art, we've got Tom Baker, Louise Jameson with this nice fiery space background. We've got the 4th Doctor, Heodine, Sutekh, Leela looking very concerned, and the TARDIS and the 4th Doctor there, what series it is, and Volume 2. The spine of the box. On the back we have this nice time tunnel red vortex, which is very reminiscent of the 4th Doctor intro from the TV series. We have the list of stories there, and we have textless covers there, as you can see. Then the side of the box showing all the CDs with their spines. So for the cover art for the Shadow of London, we've got the 4th Doctor there, we've got Fanshawe, Leela, the creature and a tunnel and some buildings, and the 4th Doctor banner there. The back of the CD, so if you want to know more about the story then you can, and the total running time being 1 hour. Moving on to the Bad Penny, we've got Leela, the 4th Doctor looking rather concerned, we've got a Penny and a Heodine. The back of the CD, so you want to know more about the story than you can, and we have the cast list down there with the run time being 1 hour. Kill the Doctor now, we've got Sutekh looking rather menacing, we've got the 4th Doctor on an air bike, and we have some explosions down there on the below the city. And I quite like the banner on this with the sort of the mixture of the 4th Doctor scarf, and it's a bit faded. Then we have the back of the story, so if you want to know more about the story then you can, and then we have the cast list down there with the running time being 1 hour. Moving on to the final story, the Age of Sutekh. So we've got 2 Siren mommies there on the top, and then we've got some more on the bottom. We've got Sutekh looking rather empowering, the 4th Doctor looking concerned. We've got Kendra, Charlton, then Leela running away from some mommies, and the 4th Doctor banner there. And what this story is about, so do feel free to pause if you want to know more about the story. And we have the cast list down there, and the running time being 1 hour. The leaflets now, so if we open it up, we have a lovely photo of Tom and Louise Jameson, then we have advertisements for Doctor Who magazine and production credit, and the reversible cover. On to the Bad Penny now, so if we open it up, we have a nice photo of Tom and Dan Starkey, advertisements for Doctor Who magazine and production credit, and the reversible cover. Opening up Kill the Doctor now, we have a nice photo of Tom and Sophie Miles, advertisements there and production credits, and the reversible cover. And the final story, we have a nice photo of Tom and Gabriel Wolfe, advertisement and production credits, and the reversible cover. And finally, the disc art, The Bad Penny, Kill the Doctor, and The Age of Sutekh.
Shadow of London.
The sound of death.
The sound of trouble, that's for sure.
Look, it is coming after us.
So, the Shadow of London. Now, if you saw my review of Men of War, you'll know that Justin Richards is absolutely nailing it. You know, not only delivering a good, solid story, but delivering stories of 9 out of 10 to 10 out of 10 marks. So, you know, he's just absolutely nailing it for me. So, Shadow of London, did it follow the same success? And the answer is yes. This is a brilliant addition to the 4th Doctor range, as this feels very authentic to his era, and probably the most authentic story of the box set, as this story feels incredibly like something out of the Philip Hinchcliffe era. So if you're like the Philip Hinchcliffe era, then you're probably going to enjoy this. So you know it's going to be a cracking story. So the story very much feels like the android invasion mixed with the dinosaur invasion. So if you like those two stories, then you'll probably enjoy this tale. Part 1. The story wastes no time with us all being thrown into the adventure with the Doctor and Leela arriving straight away, with K9 being busy reading in the library. We do have a nice Jago and Lightfoot reference, which I just thought was a lovely bonus because you know me, I absolutely adore Jago and Lightfoot. The atmosphere, I think the atmosphere for this story really helps boost the story, with it feeling slightly eerie and unsettling and quite cold, as London is deserted, so you wonder what has happened to the people of London and what is the edge. So the first 15 minutes is very much exploring with a few jokes with the language, because this is set in 1940s. And we are introduced to the characters, with the supporting characters, which are very much like caricatures of people back in the day. So after the story has that setup, the story begins to ramp up with the pace, with people being killed. So another question is thrown in: what is killing the people? So the final 3 minutes of this part are utterly thrilling. Part 2, a very interesting resolution for the cliffhanger of the story, continuing the action style pace, with it being very much a game of cat and mouse. And the story keeps getting more intriguing, with a few twists what happen around the middle, and Justin Richards just did a brilliant job with those twists, and how they fit into the story is just utterly wonderful. Like, I didn't expect that twist, and that's just brilliant. Now the threat level is increased within this, and we get a very moral and ethical side brought within the story. Moving on to characters with the Dr. Tom Baker. Yes, another brilliant performance by Tom, as he just seems rather joyous and warm and very welcoming, and we even get a little cheeky little song out of Tom, which is always good. This story also continues the teacher and student arc, which was carried back from series 3 of the Fourth Doctor Adventures between the Doctor and Leela, which I really like. And as the story progresses, he becomes more serious, and he has this really lovely speech in part 2. And at times he become quite commanding and very sympathetic, and I just love the Fourth Doctor within this. It's just classic Tom Baker. Leela, played by Louise Jameson, a wonderful performance, as Leela is constantly on guard, observing her surroundings, so her hunting skills are used really well with her tracking down the monster. We have Leela complaining about her clothes, and we have some brilliant Leela moments within this, you know, with her trying to understand human culture, and she's just all round confused with what's going on. So yeah, this is a really good story for Leela, and I just think the chemistry between the Fourth Doctor and Leela within this story is just so rich, and it just makes the story even more enjoyable in my eyes. Moving on to Hemmings, played by Darren Boyd. A very mysterious character, a character with his cards close to his chest, and quite a steely character, quite perplexed by the Doctor and Leela, and has a very interesting reveal. Not much else I can say, because that will be spoilers, but I just think he did a really good performance. So what are my overall thoughts on The Shadow of London? I think that this is a true classic Fourth Doctor adventure in my eyes. A great use of isolation to create an unsettling feel, and just a really odd bunch of characters, great performances, a story what just screams quintessential Fourth Doctor. So overall I'm going to give this story a 9 out of 10. It's just another gem done by Justin Richards.
The Bad Penny.
This is very gravely serious, or it will be if I do nothing about it. Ah, hello.
Right, moving on to the second story, The Bad Penny, written by Dan Starkey. Now this is the first full cast solo thing what Dan Starkey's done. Obviously he co-wrote Terror of the Sontarans, and he's done a short trip, but this is the first full cast adventure. So what are my opening thoughts on this story? Well, I'm going to be honest, I don't know where I stand with it, whether I like it or I dislike it. It's a very bizarre story, and looking at reviews, I'm not the only one to finish the story you know, feeling, you know, pretty mixed. You know, the reviews are mixed as well, so yeah, it seems to be quite a common thing across the board with this story, that they are very mixed opinions with this story, because the story it's quirky, it's witty, it's paradoxical. Now I said The Shadow of London is very much like a Philip Hinchcliffe style story, and yeah, that's very true. This story, however, The Bad Penny follows very much the Graham Williams era story, so it's a complete tonal shift of two stories, so it's quite interesting to see how different those two stories are in terms of style and tone. So yeah, so part 1, I'm gonna be honest, I really enjoyed the first 5 minutes of the story. I found it pretty solid stuff, with someone being attacked by a Haodine, and also getting some great chemistry between the Fourth Doctor and Leela, with us learning more about Leela's tribe, a nice reference back to the Robots of Death. And, you know, in good old classic Who fashion, the TARDIS malfunctioned, with us getting a space-time tear in the fabric of reality. So that's an interesting concept, causing the Doctor and Leela to go and fix it, obviously. And that's very much the main plot point for this story, of them arriving in this rather dodgy hotel, which does feel very 1970s. This part is very much world building, with the Doctor and Leela wandering around the hotel, you know, trying to locate the space-time tear. So we do get some strange paradoxical things happening, with people appearing from different time zones and then disappearing. And we do have a glimpse of future events, what will happen within the story. via this mirror, showing them sort of the hotel is in this constant flux, you know, things are changing. And I think that that makes for some great imagery in your head with this sort of hotel constantly changing, constantly the environment is changing, the layout of the hotel. So I quite like that. It causes some great imagery within the story. Now we do get a double cliffhanger with a twist in the final 2 minutes. Now part 2, we do get the Heodine origin, those weird things there, and we know their plan. And I will say Dan Starkey did a brilliant job playing them with some excellent sound design for them, with them being these parasites. The story really ramps up on the paradoxical nature of the story, with the story raising more questions. You know, what caused the tear? You know, what is Edwin hiding? And we also get some odd gruesome moments throughout this story. And I will say the conclusion is pretty interesting, to be honest. Now on to characters with the 4th Doctor. Yet again, another magical performance by Tom Baker, was getting just the classic 4th Doctor, which we all know and love, with him being deadly serious, but in a deadly situation they just crack a joke. And you can just easily picture that, and I just love that about the 4th Doctor. We get some great jokes, brilliant one-liners, and he's also very scientific because he's got little gadgets, you know, trying to detect the space-time tear, and he's got quite a bit of technobabble to say, and there is a great urgency because he knows what happens if this tear gets bigger. When I think there's a line within the story which just sums him up brilliantly, you know, that he's always the fool, and I just love that. Now on to Leela, obviously played by Louise Jameson. Another great performance by Louise Jameson, with us seeing her sort of caring, protective nature, especially in part 2. And much like the 4th Doctor, she does get a few funny one-liners, you know, sort of mocking the hotel's decor, and her knife skills once again come in handy. Ron Tulip, played by Greg Haste, a very interesting character, constantly on edge, struggling to keep the business afloat, and he can come across a bit like a bumbling idiot. You know, he's angry because he's afraid, which I think is quite a nice description. Moving on to Edwin, played by Andrew Ryan, just a really nice addition to this story, very interesting character with a few secrets, and he does come across a bit like a lumbering grunt. And he's very much scarred by the events what happened within this story. Now, I will say this, he's probably the most interesting supporting character within this story. Now we have Lord Tulip, played by Keith Barron, I think. A very warm character, what has this sort of devious edge to him, great interactions with the Doctor, and a character full of surprises. Just a wonderful performance by him. So what are my concluding thoughts on The Bad Penny? It's a rather odd story with an interesting concept which I really do like. But however, the ideas what this story has, just for me, just don't gel together to form, you know, a nice solid story. For me, it just seems a bit all higgledy-piggledy, to say that. And I will say this, the story does have some nice bits of humour scattered throughout, like Leela being called a hippie. The sound design I think is brilliant, and the music's top-notch. But I'm just so unsure where I stand with this story, whether I like it or I hate it. I mean, I want to give it a 5 out of 10, but I think I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 for now, just because of the sheer ambition this story was trying to do. So for now, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. For now I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. I'm still undecided on what to make of the story now, and I've listened to this about a couple of days ago, so yeah, it's one of those stories what I might need to revisit just to actually make a solid opinion. So yeah, very mixed story. But yeah, a very interesting one nonetheless, a quirky, paradoxical, witty.
Kill the Doctor.
Oh, hello! Are you shop security?
So this is the first part of the grand finale, and I will say this, I really enjoyed this one. Despite the crazy title, this story has quite a lot going on, from great action moments to some nice quiet character moments. So obviously this story features Sutekh. Now from Sutech's sort of perspective, this story is set after the New Adventures of Bernie Summerfield box set, The Triumph of Sutekh, and I'm going to be honest, I'm not that big of a fan of that box set. I found it a bit of an underwhelming box set, so naturally I was a bit hesitant with this release, but I was still looking forward to it because it's Sutekh. Now you don't need to have listened to that box set to enjoy Kill the Doctor and The Age of Sutekh, but yeah, the story itself does feel very much like a new series style story, but with Tom Baker in it. It just absolutely works, using technology from the present day and putting a Doctor Who twist on it, and I just think it works brilliantly. So yeah, let's go on further with this Part 1. I think that this is absolutely a fantastic setup for this story, with Guy Adams being subtle with the Egyptian theme, with the world that Guy Adams has created in the form of Drummond. It very much mirrored the problems in our current society, with everything being bright and shiny, but underneath the world is broken and corrupt, with people going hungry, with the fortunate being able to be up to date with technology and being obsessed with Renenet, which is basically the equivalent of a new iPhone, of an app really, which has taken the world by storm. That's basically the key plot point for this story. Now, one thing what I like about this story as well, it wastes no time with splitting the Doctor and with Leela very much standing up for the little people, you know, trying to make a difference on this society. When Leela mentions this to the Doctor, we sort of harken back to the fate of Krelos, with the Doctor saying, look, we can't get involved, Leela. And obviously Leela doesn't understand that, and the Doctor's trying to understand why Leela's like this. So it's quite interesting, but you know, Leela is very much led by her heart. You know, she doesn't think things through, she's just literally straight in there. So I do like that. So I do like the Doctor and Leela, you know, we still have that teacher-student relation within this story, with Leela very much taking it upon herself to make a difference. So Leela's side of the story is more serious, whereas the Doctor's side is basically a lot of fun, with him basically trying to work out, you know, what is Renenet, and you know, him trying to stop nearly a whole population trying to kill him, leading to a very bizarre, funny yet sinister cliffhanger with a good old-fashioned reveal. So yeah, nice. And we also do have a nice little reference back to the horror of Fang Rock Part 2. So this is when Sutekh properly comes into the story, with us getting a great confrontation between him and the Doctor. But for the most part, we have the Doctor whizzing about on a skybike, trying to evade capture, leaving with some great funny moments, which I just think causes some great visuals in your head, with just the idea of the Fourth Doctor just, you know, flying around on that. It's just great, being chased by a load of people just saying, kill the Doctor. It's just wonderfully bizarre, and I just love that. Whereas Leela is basically causing an uprising. So we have Sutekh's plan reaching ahead, with Renenet's purpose being fully revealed. And the cliffhanger certainly made me want to go straight onto the next adventure, the Age of Sutekh, because the Age of Sutekh has just begun. Characters now, the Doctor. You can tell that Tom Baker's having a great deal of fun recording this one, as you know, he starts off quite grumpy and agitated by this world, but soon, as the air bike is introduced, you know, he has that childish delight, and we have that great booming laugh. And with Guy Adams just really capturing the Fourth Doctor really well, and just you can just visualise the Fourth Doctor's little mannerisms within this story. Leela now, brilliant. What a brilliant story for this. I think this is probably Leela's best story within this box set, in my personal opinion, because we see how headstrong Leela is, determined, you know, to make a difference, to help the poor. You know, she has some brilliant action moments, you know, taking down 6 guards. We have her learning about vocabulary and trying to use it, and she's just really commanding, and Louise Jameson just does a superb job. On to Sutekh the Destroyer. Yes, not much I can say about him within this story, because obviously he's very much working his way up and rising in the power, and lurking in the shadows, which I just think is great. But Gabriel Wolf just hasn't lost it. It's just incredibly sinister, he's eerie, and you really do believe that he is all-powerful, you know, manipulating people, very mocking, just brilliant stuff done by Gabriel Wolf. Kendra, played by Eleanor Crooks, very much acts as Leela's companion within the story, and obviously the second story, with her being poor, troubled, and, you know, have this deep sadness, you know, very much has the mentality of worrying about tomorrow. Just a great performance. So what are my overall thoughts on Kill the Doctor? A great first half of this finale, a lot of promise, and a lot to enjoy from this story, from the world building to the jazzy music. Everything locks into place to create a gripping adventure, but not losing sight of fun. So overall, I'm going to give this one a 9.5 out of 10.
Age of Sutekh.
This is now the world of Sutekh, and however ornate, however decadent, it's a world of death.
Who is Sutekh?
Last of the Osiris.
Right, the series finale. This is where everything's been leading up from Kill the Doctor. So yeah, what are my opening thoughts on this story? Well, I love it. I think that this is such a brilliant adventure. So yeah, let's go straight into this. So part 1, just what an episode for Sutekh. This is Sutekh at the height of his powers. His empire is being built, armies are being primed, Drummond has been we get Sutekh expanded on. We explore Sutekh's new world of paradise, and this is the part that just shows how powerful Sutekh is with manipulating everyone around him. We're just getting some really dark moments involving sacrifice, you know, guards falling upon their swords to increase his fear factor. And the Doctor's really pushed it, you know, to his limits. The mummies are a true threat within this. And also, this story has a fair few deaths, and that's exactly what you need. when you're doing a story involving Sutekh, you know, because you want that. You want to show how powerful he is, how much control he has, and Guy Adams just does a brilliant job showing how much power Sutekh has and how much control he has over this whole world. It's just brilliant. Part 2, not going to say too much on this one because I don't want to spoil this story for you, but it just continues the great action moment. We have the Doctor and gang dressed up as mommies, and the sleepers, I think they're called, you know, their purpose is revealed, and we have quite an interesting resolution. What, for me, came across a bit predictable, but I kind of can't think of another way how Guy Adams could have got out of this one. But I will say this, the story does lose a little bit of its pace towards the middle. So my overall thoughts are, it's a good solid conclusion to the box set. Really enjoyable, especially part 1. I thought part 1 was really solid, but part 2 is when the cracks of the story just start to appear, because like I said, the middle, it does kind of lose what part 1 built up with. But obviously, when you've built something so big and powerful, there's only one way you can sort of, you know, topple Sutekh. So yeah, that's one thing. And like I said, the middle of the story did lose something, but nonetheless, I still enjoyed it. It's had some great moments throughout it, and yeah, I just love the fear factor what Sutekh had, the power. It's just absolutely wonderful. So I did enjoy that. So overall, I'm going to give The Age of Sutekh a 9 out of 10. Despite its faults, I still enjoyed it. I thought it was great, especially part 1. You know, part 1 was a solid 10 out of 10. I just thought that was utterly magnificent. So let's go on to my concluding thoughts on this box set. So what are my concluding thoughts on the 4th Doctor Adventures Series 7 Volume 2? Well, I'm going to be honest, out of Series 7, I definitely think that this is the strongest box set out of the series. Volume 1 was great, you know, the Sons of Caldor, Cromar's Experiment was brilliant, but the John Dorney 2-parter did let it down for me. Whereas this box set I think is more consistent. Shadow of London, like I said, was just a brilliant homage to the Philip Hinchcliffe era. So yeah, I just think that story is a quintessential 4th Doctor, and it's just a brilliant addition to the Big Finish 4th Doctor lineup, and it's definitely one of my favourites actually. I definitely think that it's up there in my top 10 4th Doctor Adventures of Big Finish. You know, it's very much like the Android Invasion, so if you like the Android Invasion, then you're going to like that. And I just love the twist in part 2. It was just so unexpected, and it just worked incredibly well in terms of the frame of the story. The Bad Penny, yeah, the clangor of the box set, if you were, but still, like I said, it's a very ambitious story. It's just got a lot of ideas within there, and it's just trying to link all those and tie all those ideas down into one thing, and then I think it will be a true solid story. It's a nice story to sort of it's a nice replication of the Graham Williams era. But yeah, I'm still undecided on that story. I think I need to re-listen to that one to make a firm judgment to see whether I like it or not. But yeah, still enjoyed it for what it was. It was just an interesting, paradoxical story. Kill the Doctor, my favourite of the box. It just seemed incredibly well. It just fitted the Tom Baker era surprisingly well. It was just brilliant. I just thought it was a lot of fun. And I think that's what I liked about it, because I think that Tom Baker's having such fun recording this. It kind of rubs off within you when you're listening to it. You're just like, Tom's having a lot of fun, and I'm having a lot of fun listening to this. So it's just a great setup for the Age of Sutekh. And obviously Leela, I think that's probably Leela's strongest story within this box. I just think she's a brilliant job, you know, of her sort of leading this gang of poor people to get food. I just think that's brilliant. I just love that. It's such a Leela thing to do. I just think Guy Adams really knows how to write for those two characters. The Age of Sutekh, I think that it's a good conclusion. It's a good conclusion to the series, especially part 1. I thought part 1, you know, it was, you know, 10 out of 10 for me, but it just lost its way in part 2, sadly, which I would have liked to have continued that sort of theme what part 1 built on. But naturally, when you've built up a villain like Sutekh, it's always going to be a bit of a disappointing resolution. It's a bit like Stolen Earth, that Russell T Davies built something so big and epic and massive. The conclusion was always going to be a disappointment. So yeah, that's all I can really say. It's a really good box set. Definitely, out of the Big Finish stuff what they've done with Sutekh, this is certainly my favourite one they've done. I mean, Triumph for Sutekh was an alright box set. This, I feel like they kind of stepped outside the box with Sutekh, because obviously the Triumph for Sutekh very much felt like they were regurgitating lines from the Pyramids of Mars. This is more Sutekh getting original dialogue to say, which was nice, you know, that he is the snake wrapping around the universe. It's just brilliant. The dialogue what Sutekh has is brilliant. It's menacing, it's powerful, it's just wonderful. So overall, I'm gonna give this box set a 8.5 out of 10. A brilliant release, good solid adventures, and the Bad Penny, well, I'm going to let you decide whether you like it or you hate it. I mean, that's the divided one. I think that's the one where you can take it or leave it. The rest, I think, are good, solid 4th Doctor adventures and great additions to the Big Finish lineup. So thank you very much for watching this review. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I'll see you in my next Big Finish review, whatever that will be. It could be Cyber Reality or Jago Won Lightfoot Forever. Boy, that's going to be a sad review, but nonetheless, thank you very much for watching this video. Hope you have enjoyed it. Please like, comment, subscribe, and do all that lovely stuff because it really does help me out. And thank you very much, and bye-bye!